Veterinarians of Reddit, what is something most pet owners can do to make their pets' lives better? I think the best thing you can do for your new pet, especially a puppy or kitten, is handle it a lot when they're young. Getting them used to having their feet handled, nails trimmed, mouth opened, even extra benefit if you get them used to teeth brushing daily, gold standard for at-home dental care. Ears touched, particularly breeds prone to ear infections. Huge benefit in the future if you have to administer topical ear medication. Restraint is also a big thing. I always tell my clients to practice restraint with their animals. That wriggly puppy that is cute when it nips when you hold it still grows up into a large dog that can't be safely examined because it hasn't learned to be okay with restraint. This is a great point. It's nearly impossible to get my dog to put up with vet procedures. She will bite as a warning, so it's quite hard to get her through vet appointments. Luckily she's not out to hurt anyone, only bites softly and tends to give up after a bit, otherwise it would be even worse. I'd also like to say my dog doesn't really do any of the scrap when I'm not standing right there, so she's definitely feeding off my nervous energy. If you have a dog the same way, you should try leave them alone with the vet or groomer. It could make a world of difference to their behavior. For small pets, stop shoving them in tiny cages and then forgetting about them. Most pet store cages are incredibly tiny compared to the bare minimum the specific animals need. Do your homework and make sure you are getting something large enough. And for pets that you can, let them out. Guinea pigs, rabbits, some birds, they want to be let out and love the extra space. Just do it safely. Again, do your homework to make sure you create a safe space for your pet to play. The cage part goes especially for turtles. Usually what you find at a pet store are sliders, and they can get to be the size of dinner plates. You have to have a lot of water and a big filter to keep them properly for the long term. As this post gets more attention, let me reiterate the point that turtles can have complex needs and there is no one-size-fits-all approach to keeping them. Heavily aquatic turtles can live in aquariums, but many turtles prefer shallower water and are not suited to conventional aquariums. As a general rule, aquatic turtles should have about 10 gallons of water for every inch of shell length. So when a female red-eared slider hits 10 inches, you're looking at 100 gallons, with filtration to match. Turtles do not grow to the size of their enclosure. Many turtles need a basking spot out of the water where they can get both heat and UVB from specialty lighting. Female turtles can become egg-bound and die if you don't provide a spot for them to lay eggs, even if there are no males present. Not all turtles play nicely. Turtles can become aggressive, kill and even eat each other. Not all turtles readily eat commercially available foods, and commercially available foods rarely represent a balanced diet for turtles. For instance, pellet foods are fine for young painted turtles, but as adults they become almost entirely herbivorous, and the high protein in most commercial foods is no longer appropriate. Turtles live for decades, some approaching a century. That's a long time to have a pet. Turtles are extremely rewarding animals to keep, and can be kept on a budget, but please do your research before getting one. Can confirm. My mom bought me a rabbit when I was 8. At the time she wasn't educated on pet care, and she kept her outside. Once I turned 11-ish it just felt wrong, so I brought her in, got her a bigger cage that I kept in my room. Every day I would open the cage and just let her roam around in the rabbit-proofed house for a few hours. It was like she was a completely different bunny. She was so happy. She lived a long life. Removing a mass when it's small is faster, less anesthetic risk, less invasive, less painful, less expensive and has a better chance of curing cancer should the mass turn out to be cancerous. This is even more pressing on delicate areas like eyelids and feet where there may not be a lot of extra tissue to work with should a large lump need to be removed. Cartofin/bendazine/Zydax injections are relatively cheap and can keep your pet comfortable by not only helping to prevent future arthritis but by helping to ease any that is already present. Dental disease is serious. Pets will continue to eat even with their teeth forming abscesses. The infection can spread through their body, including to their heart. Removing rotten teeth is the kindest thing you can do for your pets as they age, especially if you haven't been proactive in preventing periodontal disease. They can still eat even with full mouth extractions, and will be much happier. People often tell me how their pet seems younger again after their rotten teeth are extracted. To add, regular checkups are very important, at least annually. People often come in saying my dog is so healthy he hasn't been to a vet in years. After looking at the dog, I can usually find a few major issues that should have been addressed years ago. We adopted a cat someone was giving away on Craigslist. She was free, but I didn't think anything of it. The dude was moving and couldn't take her with him. It wasn't long before a spot under her eyes started swelling. We took her to the vet and they popped an abscess that left a gaping hole in her face. It healed and we thought that was the end of it, but $4,000 in vet fees and 3 years later, we finally found a vet who figured out what was wrong with her. Her 2 top fangs were cracked in the back and were rotting from the inside. It was getting up in her sinuses, causing infections that would lead to the abscesses. We got those teeth removed and she's just been the happiest cat ever since. I don't know how she got cracked teeth like that, but I'm glad we were the ones who took her in, because I'm not sure someone else looking for a free cat would have spent so much to help her. This is eerily relevant for me today. I'm dropping my lovely Spopperoni off at the vet today to have a strange mass removed that is next to her tongue. I've been crazy stressed about if it's the right thing to do because it doesn't seem to be harming her at all. But a biopsy was inconclusive as to if it is benign or cancerous. Lots of cuddles will be had by all this afternoon. Not that anyone really asked for it, but the vets called to say they did not remove whatever is in her mouth because it's something to do with the salivary gland and it's gotten worse since the last time they checked, and now he's recommending a specialist, and I just want this to be over and for her to be happy. 10 years working at an animal hospital. Help your pet get used to being touched, especially when they are young. You, and by extension your vet, needs to be able to look into your pet's mouth, look into their ears, touch their feet and toes. Vet visits are torture for animals who don't like being touched, and you can miss something important if you don't look at these things yourself regularly, because he doesn't like it. I was actually harming my dog by buying the fancy grain-free food. Caused her to have horrible, like hundreds, of bladder stones. Going on urinary specialty food really saved us after her surgery. Dogs don't need grain-free, they need the grains. Just not corn. Rice, potato, millet, etc. are all good. Pay attention. Grain-free food can really hurt your dog. She had a bladder stone the size of a gobstopper, and 100 smaller ones, and she's like a 23-pound dog. The food we were on was blue buffalo, and it caused way too much protein in her urine. She started getting a ton of bladder infections, and even as the infections cleared up, stones started to form. Since this is getting attention, I looked back at my receipts, and we were feeding Akana in the 2 years prior to the bladder stones. It was not blue buffalo, it was the 100% grain-free Akana. So anyway, those of you commenting that grain-free is fine, please talk to your vet just to make sure. For those of you that don't know, it's recently come out that grain-free food has been strongly associated with heart failure in dogs. The FDA has released a warning and everything. As for cats, make sure they're drinking water. Kidney problems are extremely common in cats, especially males. Cats don't really have the same feelings of thirst that humans and dogs do to drink water, and they may be picky about where their water comes from. If you notice that they aren't drinking water or that they're only drinking from the toilet, it might mean they prefer running water, and you should look into getting them a cat fountain. Another thing you can do is feed them wet food every now and then, or even mix in some water with their food. I am a veterinarian. I'd like to see people focus not just on quantity but quality of their pet's life. The best thing you can do for that is just incorporate them into your life as much as possible. Pay attention to them, love them, lots of walks, lots of games. You'd be surprised what they can learn. Play hide and go seek, play fetch, sit beside them when you watch TV. Pet them, train and socialize them early and well so you won't avoid them because they're not well behaved. We're all so busy, It's so easy to make them an afterthought. You are their whole world, and unless you live on a big farm where they run free, you are their only outlet for activity and happiness. They get bored fast, just like we do. They can't wait for you to get home. They've missed you. Take them for a walk. Do a fun training or agility class with them if you'd like. For health, the biggest things are 1. Exercise. 2. Pay attention to what can be dangerous, toxic for them, and avoid it. Head stuck in potato chip bags is one people miss lately. And keep your drugs out of their reach. They're small and more easily affected. 3. Brush their teeth. Enjoy your pets. They love you. We had a lab named Pebbles who was about 2 when my younger sister was born. She immediately connected with my sister and ended up being her dog, despite previously being attached to our mom. There was a large gap, 15+ years, between me and the younger sister, and I would play with her, but was usually at school or work during the day. My sister ended up teaching her how to play hide and seek, her favorite game as a little one. It was the cutest thing I have ever seen. Pets can do way more than people think if you spend the time with them. Just incorporate them into your life as much as possible. You'd be surprised what they can learn. I've had people tell me you have the smartest cats I've ever seen, and all I've done is office from home and not ignore them. People have told me cats can't learn their names, cats don't understand the work. No, if they respond it is only due to your tone of voice. Cats won't come when you call them. I have 2 cats now that prove each of those statements false. I've put 0 effort into training them. Genuine question: how do I trim my dog's nails? The only time I tried, I cut too deep and it became sort of infected. I don't live in an area where I can regularly take them to the vet. So what can I do in that case? Edit. Massive thanks to all the people, ever so helpful, for guiding me through this. I will definitely try all the options and see what works best for my doggy. He's a full-size Dalmatian, so around the length and height of a Labrador or a Doberman, and he's not obese at all. I do regularly take him on walks, twice in a day for 30 to 40 minutes each, where they walk on roads, footpath, and grass as well. I think that should help. Plus I will teach myself how to trim and teach him to not fear the clipper. Again, massive love and thanks, beautiful people. To add to this, give them general health checks twice a year. Animals can't talk. They won't tell you my bladder feels weird, so by the time you know something is up, it's usually too late or a very big deal. By giving them biannual health checkups, you give the vet an opportunity to discover health issues early. Treatment easier and faster. Edit. Changed biannually to twice a year. Sorry for the typo. Get your old babies checked out. Cats and dogs, they get sore joints like old folks do too. If you notice your cat doesn't jump anymore or drags themselves up the bed, maybe their joints are sore, go see a vet and see if they need long-term pain relief. If your old lab is slow to rise and fast to lay down, go to the vet. They might be able to go on long-term pain relief. The amount of old animals I've seen turn into a puppy again is amazing. Pain relief, folks. Also dentals. Damn son, cats have teeth too. Get them checked at the vet and see if they need a dental. Just basically go to the vet and get your animals checked out. You don't win a prize when you come in with an old skinny, chronically painful dog saying this is his first ever vet visit. Vet here. Here's my best advice. Condensed. Thin pets live longer than fat pets. Google a BCS chart and make sure your pet has a visible waist and palpable ribs. No crash diets. Dental disease is way more serious than you think. Get the scale and polish. If we have to extract teeth, and believe me, we would prefer not to, they will still be able to eat. Get your pet a series of Cartophin, or Zydax, or Adequacy, or Pandazan polysulfate injections when they turn 8. They help slow down the progression of arthritis and are safe and cost-effective. If your cat is stressed at the vet, take home some gabapentin to put on her food before her next visit. She will be safe, happy, and calm, and the vet will be able to examine her more thoroughly. Know what's toxic for your pet. Definitely don't have lilies in the house if you have a cat. Discuss finances. Your vet wants what's best for your pet, and is obligated to recommend all your best options. But if you tell us what you can afford, we can usually come up with a reasonable plan. You deserve a vet you trust. If you don't trust yours, find one that you do. 8. Put your 24-hour vet's address into your Google Maps GPS favorites so you don't have to find it in an emergency. I hate having to explain to everyone who's not my vet, including the pet food store staff, that I buy the hella expensive bougie grain-free food because my fat cat has a gluten allergy. He's finally close to a healthy weight, but he's also trained the other 2 furry jerks he lives with to share their food with him, so they have to eat the same or he gets very sick. They literally swat food off the sideboard where they're fed so he can eat more. It's a struggle to save him from himself. Obligatory not a vet, but used to work in vets and have a BSc degree in animal sciences and animal management. Actually research your pet before buying them. It sounds obvious, but so many people don't, and they just assume that they know how to care for an animal based on what they've seen on TV or heard from friends/family/pet shops. For example, rabbits are one of the most neglected animals in the UK. Because people still think that they belong in hutches. Rabbits actually need a lot of space, and a companion, as well as platforms, rearing up space, and foraging opportunities. I'm a rat owner, and it shocks and saddens me to see the amount of people who keep lone rats in a cage with minimal enrichment and fleece covering the base instead of a suitable substrate that enables them to display their natural digging and foraging behaviors. Not to mention cages with height but insufficient floor space for rats to run and play, or cages just full of hammocks but no active enrichment. Research your pets thoroughly before you do anything. Make sure you're acting in the best interests of the animal, and not what's convenient for you. My friend wanted to get her son a guinea pig for Christmas but clearly had done no research besides talking to the guy at the pet store. I know nothing about guinea pigs, but I remembered something about them being very social, so I did a few minutes of basic research, and almost everything I read talked about how you should always get at least 2. When I brought it up, nicely, was adamant that she didn't want to because it would be extra work. The kicker was that one of her main reasons for getting her 9-year-old son a pet was to teach him to be responsible, but she admitted up front that she was going to end up taking care of it. I eventually had to bow out of the whole thing because I was getting genuinely angry. I don't even really like animals all that much, but if you decide to have a pet, you damn well better take care of it. I cannot emphasize this enough. Not a vet, but worked with exotic animals for years as an assistant, and if people properly researched their pets ahead of time, a solid 70% of our sick calls probably wouldn't have existed. Not sure how true this is worldwide, but at least where I'm at, the pet store employees also do not count as research. They are underpaid and underinformed and are going by chain store policy that is often pretty crummy. Parrots shouldn't eat only seeds. Reptiles have very strict humidity/heat/usually supplement requirements, and everything usually needs more and high-quality housing than what chain pet stores sell and recommend. Not a vet, but my mom is. If you think of getting a pet, think of finances too. Not just how much food, litter and some vaccinations are, but be sure that you're able to pay the vet bills if an emergency occurs, or even for if your pet needs regular care due to something chronic, an injury that makes them need physiotherapy, etc. We have way too many people struggling with their bills. Some put their needs back, some the animals. Some of the stories are horrifying. If something is off on how your pet behaves, if it suddenly doesn't let you touch certain parts of their body or anything else you can't put your finger on is happening, go to your vet. Don't wait too long. Many animals are extremely good at hiding severe pain and illness. If you notice anything off, go to the vet. Care about their teeth. If you can't brush them, let your vet have a look every now and then. They can cause extreme pain, and severe inflammation in there is really dangerous. Also, if your pet is somehow very sick or recovering from surgery, care for them. Be there. Look out for them. Show them your love. Tender love and care is a very underappreciated factor in the process of healing. Pets have complex emotions too, and pet psychology is really fucking important.